Park Hill, representing the big PH. Here's what I'm going to do right now. Boom. Sandy, are you there?
I'm here.
What's up, Sandy?
Hello, sir. How are you?
Well, you got that big PH on you.
I do. Mr. John Bowman's shirt. I was so excited when you wore it on the show, and I saw that, and I was like, I have to have one.
You know I had to get one.
I love it. I love it so much.
Park Hill, how long have you been in Park Hill?
Wow. Brother Jeff, I was in Park Hill in my mama's tummy. So I am one of those longtime families. Robnetts have been here. I'm not sure how many generations, but my dad went to Manual. My mom went to West. My dad was born and raised here in the Points, and my mom was from Kansas. And they met, and so on and so forth. And my siblings actually grew up in the Points. There are still some apartments that are down there. These kind of like townhomes that are still in existence, where my brothers and sisters were born. But by the time I came along, my parents had moved to 21st and Pontiac.
Wow.
So I have never not lived in Park Hill. The only time I haven't been in Park Hill was when I was away for university.
Well, I can tell you, Sandy Robnett is here. And you're also on the board of the Greater Park Hill Neighborhood Association. You know, I love that association. Great people doing incredible work. And you're a part of the leadership of the Greater Park Hill Neighborhood Association, right?
That is correct. I am one of the board members. I'm an at-large member of GPHC, and I'm on the steering committee for Save Open Space Denver. And I'm also the vice president of CP FAN, City Park Friends and Neighbors.
Wow. Well, in addition to being a native, she is also heavily involved. Let me hit you all with the trigger alert. This is a show that triggers people because you've entered a free think zone. If you're not willing to be exposed to other points of view, tune out now and don't read the comments. You have been warned. Again, we opened up with a message to the mayor, and the mayor has been under a lot of scrutiny, not only just lately, but when I think about the last election cycle, I think regular citizens across this the Mile High Income City were really concerned with the total access to developers, development, and really at the expense of just regular citizens, homeowners, and unhoused neighbors. Just in terms of, I remember during the campaign, there were discussions about certain individuals had access and zoning applied in some situations and didn't apply in other situations, and some could do this and some could do that. And with all of that being said, there's this big conversation, and I want to get right into it. It's about safe open space and the Park Hill Golf Course. Now, can you kind of just, Sandy, just tee it up and tell us what's going on with the Park Hill Golf Course, Greater Park Hill Neighborhood Association's relationship to whatever the planning is. And I understand that you are a part of a committee or a board or visioning process or, all of that. Just tee up the free thinkers about what's happening with the Park Hill Golf Course and your relationship to it.
Absolutely. First and foremost, Brother Jeff, I thank you. I thank you for inviting me to your platform. I want to thank you for the amazing work that you do for this community, the amazing work that your wife does for the community, and the contributions that you guys make. And I'm so grateful and just honored to be here on this platform today. So first, let me just thank you.
Thank you.
So what's happening? So, it's interesting that we started the video with that fabulous video with a message to Michael Hancock. And today, SOS Denver had a press conference, Save Open Space. If I say SOS, I'm referring to Save Open Space Denver. I'm just shortening it, but you guys know who I'm referring to. And we had a press conference this morning. Brother Jeff attended. Thank you. We'll hit on your questions a little bit later, but your questions were absolutely fantastic. Thank you for those very important questions that you presented at the press conference, and your points of views and your comments. But we too had a message to the mayor today, and some of you guys may know that as of tomorrow, CPD, which I believe stands for Community Planning and Development of the City of Denver, will be starting a visioning process. And, of course, initially it was called a small area plan, but now they're specifically referring to it as a visioning process, in which, I certainly know that there are 27 members from the community who will be participating. I am one of them. I will be representing SOS Denver in our group. Of the 27 people, when you go down this list and you see who are the other members of the steering committee, I can identify 4 of those people are proponents of open space. I don't know necessarily. I mean, there are certainly some that are on the steering committee who are absolutely proponents of development. I mean, one of the persons on the steering committee is Kenneth Ho, who is one of the developers and who is a principal at Westside Development. And I really can't speak about everyone else's positions, but of the 27, I absolutely know with certainty that only 4 have interest in open space and have environmental concerns.
Well, I can tell you, I know many of the principals in this entire I'm going to call it a quagmire at this particular point. And with Kenneth Ho participating, I think that he should participate because we're really talking about his financial interests and a lot of others' financial interests. By the way, Sandy mentioned that there was a press conference around that was put together today by the Safe Open Space Group. And let me just tell you all a little bit about them. They're a grassroots community organization that has been working for over 4 years on issues related to the future of the Park Hill Golf Course land. And they did hold a press conference today. And they touched on a lot of important issues. And free thinkers out there, I've been following this. And the reason I've been following this, I want everybody to think, if you're just jumping on right now, I want you to think about this term, and I want you to think about easement. I want you to I want you to put this term in your back pocket, and it's called easement, and I just always want you to hold it there. And then I want you to expand on it. I want you to call it conservation easement. And what that means is basically the city under the Honorable Wellington E. Webb purchased a conservation easement at the tune of $2 million, and Brother Jeff paid for that, and as well as all of you other citizens of Denver, we all ponied up $2 million to really have control of the development rights of the Park Hill Golf Course. That's what we purchased. Now, I believe there's going to be a little bit of going back and forth in terms of what that means, but an easement is an easement, and I understand that this is a state issue in terms of how this is put together, and it's played out in a city kind of situation. Well, let me just ask a few questions, Sandy, because I've gone real deep into this. I basically just wanted to know what my $2 million investment was. You know what I mean? Right. I'm like Kenneth Ho. I'm like Norman Harris. I'm like Ty Hubbard. I'm like Wayne Vaden. I'm like everybody who has an interest in this. It's just my interest is in the tune of $2 million in the conservation easement. Others might have direct investment in purchasing the actual land. And I believe we have a partnership. Right. And I could just go on about this, but I can't get to the bottom. No one will really tell me what my $2 million is worth, what I get for it. Do I have a voice? Do I have a say in it? And my friend Kenneth Ho said I just basically have a tea time. Like
that's right.
He said, Brother Jeff, I shout out to you. You purchased a tea time for $2 million. And
he sure did.
And I don't know if I agree with that, but with that being said, Sandy, what do I get for my $2 million? What do you get for your $2 million investment in the Park Hill golf course?
So let me take us back a little bit on the history, because we have fabulous Mr. Woody Garnsey, who is an amazing attorney, a retired attorney, and he knows all the legalese. And I will just tell you guys, I am not a practicing attorney, but I have a legal background. So let me put this in layman's terms, essentially what happened. So in 1997, under Wellington Webb, there was a city council person, and I know James Mejia touched on this when he was on your show. there was a city councilwoman named Kathy Reynolds, who was extremely interested in golf, and so they put this easement on the land with other expressions and other terms because they wanted this golf course. So this is what happened in 1997, and I am not a proponent. I am not one who's going to say that this has got to remain and still be an 18-hole golf course, because that is not what the language says. So I'll touch on that, but also let me just tell you guys in layman's terms, explain to you what an easement is, because sometimes it's just kind of hard to understand. So an easement is a right of way. And there are so many different kinds of easements. So if you think in terms of, say, for example, your property, the likelihood is that there is some sort of a utility pole on your property. So the city has an easement to your property to be able to place that utility pole on your property. That is one concept of what an easement is. So from now on, when you're driving down the street and you see a utility pole, no, that's an easement. When we took property in law school, another real easy way to kind of understand this is, say, for example, Brother Jeff, you own a piece of land, and your piece of land is here, and my piece of land is here. But the only way I can access my piece of land is by going through your piece of land. So what I would do is I would approach you and I would say to you, would you grant me an easement? Would you grant me a right of way so that I would be able to access my property by going through your property? So that road that would be created going through your property so that I can access my property would be an easement. So that's kind of an easy way to understand what an easement is. Here, the circumstance is a little bit different because, again, it's right of way, but what we have here is a conservation easement. The conservation easement says, everyone keeps pounding on this issue that it has to be an 18-hole golf course. There is very specific examples of in this language, in this particular conservation easement. There is a specific language that says, example, a tennis court or other recreational use. If you have an example, if the language of this conservation easement gives you other opportunities or other things that you can look for or other ways or other activities that can take place on this particular land, then that does not mean it has to be an 18-hole golf course and only an 18-hole golf course. This specific easement or the conservation easement says, it gives you an example. If I have an EG in a document, that means that there are other things that you can do. It does not have to be just an 18-hole golf course. That is. Mm-hmm.
But Sandy, that is wonderful information. But when you purchase a piece of property,
that's right.
Don't you go in knowing about easements that might be in place? Don't you go through a title company that looks for perhaps liabilities and liens and all of these different things? Don't you go in knowing before you sign? Don't they go through all of those documents? And do you believe that somebody said, now I got more information today, and remember, I'm not on one side or the other. I just want to know what my $2 million gets, and I want transparency, and I just want to see a fair process emerge for a change. And we know that the Mile High Income City has a huge problem under the Hancock administration with transparency, honesty, and anything as it relates to a dollar, a developer. But with that being said, I just want to, see what's going on. And I learned more information even today because one question leads to another. But I can tell you this. Westside Development purchased this property, and the reason they were able to get it, and some say it was high, some say it was low, and that just depends on, your own particular budget. You know what I mean? What's high to me, it might be low to someone else. But they went in knowing that there was an easement. And they purchased that property at a discount because the easement is going to restrict what you can do in terms of maximizing your investment, if in fact that's what you want to do. The easement says, you know what, this is a conservation easement. This is what you can't do. And someone says, well, if I can't do this, then I don't want to pay top dollar because I'm in a relationship or I've got this encumberment on me. And so that being said, the purchasers knew that going in. They
Absolutely,
this what we're talking about is not something where someone has said, "Oh, I didn't know." Well, you have to know because this is a part of this is a legal real estate description, if in fact we will. And then the second thing that I'm hearing folks wrangle over in terms of should this be a golf course or should this be a tennis court or what is open space and all that. All of that's talking about use agreement. Like that's talking about use. It's not talking about the conservation easement. It's saying, you know what, this is a conservation easement and this is some of the things that are in line in terms of use. Okay. This is what I think I understand right now. But with all of that being said, there's a lot of players at the table now. I got involved because I went to a press conference with Mayor Wellington E. Webb many years ago. And I was kind of like, what's this all about? And so, you know, folks started talking to me about the need for a grocery store. And I said, well, every time someone wants to develop something, and you've been around in Park Hill, you've been around long enough to know when there was a grocery store right there in the Holly Shopping Center and gyms and all of the, you know, food is food wherever it is. And so, but the point that I'm making is folks say, we don't have a grocery store. And in 2021, I'm going to say, we don't have a continuous black community. So if you're if you're trying to sell me on blackness, and I'm telling you, all of you all who do identity politics, I hope you have opened up your eyes and know that that is the most ridiculous, wonky way to look at politics in general. For those of you who are saying we, I challenge you to go knock on 5 doors and see if you see 5 we's when you knock on them 5 doors. And so get away back up from me when you start talking about what the black community is, because it ain't Park Hill if that's what you're talking about.
And it's not Northeast Park Hill.
Of course not. And so,
I mean, absolutely, Brother Jeff, you hit it right on the honey pot. The gentrification. I was taking a walk over there the other day, and I'm not mad at you. I mean, I'm not mad. I'm very blessed. My sister owns a home here in Park Hill. The reason I am able to still be here is because of my sister's home, and you know, good for her. We live in 1,200 square foot house that's worth $600,000. I'm not going to hate you. I don't hate you for that. I don't hate any black person who owns a home and who has made some investments. But you know, here we are I took a walk and over off of 33rd and Ash. There is a house for sale, and it's $550,000. Who is the we? Who is the we in Northeast Park Hill? Yes. So now all these people advocating for a grocery store. Well, guess what? You're not advocating for us, Brother Jeff. You're advocating for the now existing white people who have come in.
Well, I could tell you when we talk about we in the Mile High Income City, that we doesn't include ordinary people. It just doesn't include ordinary people across the Mile High Income City. But here's the point that I also want to make is folks were talking about fresh vegetables and no access to that. So on my way to the studio today, I rode down Colorado Boulevard looking for some fresh vegetables. Guess what? I got a bag of fresh vegetables. Let me just tell you what I picked up, Sandy. Picked me up some agua, some water. Picked me up some, I think these are tangerines. Picked me up some cucumbers. All on 48th and Colorado Boulevard from a Latino Mexican market. And it's got a big sign that says fresh vegetables.
Yep.
It's a grocery store. I mean, it's a store. But the point that I'm making is when we start talking about development and we start talking about high-end property, if you think the folks who can afford to move into a particular community, if you think they're going to go without a grocery store, that's going to be out. I see a natural food market coming up under the highway on 38th and, you know, right over here by, you know, when you get off the highway off of York or whatever, or 38th and maybe Downing or whatever over there. They're going to find a place to put a store. So if it's a store, if we could find a place to put a cannabis dispensary in every nick and cranny, don't tell me we ain't got no place to put no store. I'm just gonna tell
And
you
brother Jeff, let me just say real quickly, none of us who are affiliated or associated with SOS, none of us are opposed to a grocery store. None of us are opposed to affordable housing. We know and we recognize that there is land that has already been developed that is reusable, that can be reused and should be reused. So put the grocery stores and the affordable housing in those already existing developed properties. That's our contention.
Well, I mean, with that being said, Sandy, I want to talk about this visioning process, and I want to talk. I want to talk a little bit about what that vision may be, because I want you free thinkers to kind of think about what I'm saying, and if I'm incorrect, kind of let me know in terms of my progression of thought. There's a big wrangle about safe outdoor space or just outdoor space in a conservation easement attached to 155 acres of land. This is probably the last of the great boons in terms of, where we can squeeze another piece of concrete. And I believe there are people who say we need more and more people to come. We need more and more density. We need more and more concrete. And I'd believe them if they said that, we need that to get some unhoused neighbors housed. Like, I'd believe them if they said we're doing this for everybody, but it seems like we're just doing it for a select few. With regards to this visioning process, I think I know what I want.
What do you want, Brother Jeff? What would you like to see? Tell us.
For my $2 million?
For your $2 million.
An arborarium.
That's right. Me
Just
too.
give me an art. So if you're going to ask me, I don't really care about a store I can't afford to shop in. Fortunately, I can afford to shop in it. You know what I mean?
That's
but
right.
The average person can't afford to access the Mile High Income City. And so if I'm going to celebrate another tall development, if I'm going to celebrate another big building, if I'm going to celebrate another flat of concrete that the average person is not going to be able to access, I mean, I could be swayed. You've got to make the argument in terms of my particular investment, my $2 million, but conservation, fresh air. I remember families used to come, and you remember they used to come to Colorado. They used to come to Denver particularly because they had asthma.
That's right. Tuberculosis.
They used to have tuberculosis and asthma, and they came here so that they could breathe.
That's right.
Am I making that up?
Not at all. In fact, one of our this is fascinating. One of our members, Maria Flora, and she might be on the call. She has a home here in Park Hill, and there is this fabulous thing in the back of the house, and it was specifically made for people who were coming to be cured of tuberculosis, and it was the fresh air. And Brother Jeff, so my involvement and my interest in particular with Save Open Space is, I have very serious concerns about environmental racism and lack of open space. And no one really is talking about the environmental issues for Black and the BIPOC community by continuing to densify the area. I'm not seeing any comments. Are these people just bored?
Oh, no, there's comments, believe me.
Oh, shit, I don't see them, but that's okay. I don't only see Leanne. That's where my concern comes in, because I do recognize and understand that we need affordable housing. And look, let's talk about this grocery store in Park Hill, Northeast Park Hill, according to them, being a food desert. Where is there a grocery store in Park Hill, period? There is no grocery store in Park Hill. Not to mention Northeast Park Hill. I don't have one by me either.
See, when folks talk, let's just talk about city planning and how this thing works.
Right.
There used to be a time before mass automobiles where neighborhoods were built, and in the center of neighborhoods, their social gathering place were grocery stores.
Right.
Because they would just
And
walk.
churches.
Yeah, they would walk
Yep.
to the grocery store and they'd
Yep.
be, oh, hi, Sandy, how you doing? I'm just picking up some apples and picking up some greens and blah, blah.
Okay.
And it was like community. And then if you noticed, when folks began doing more and more automobile transportation, those grocery stores started merging out of the center of communities and they were placed on thoroughfares, like when you were getting off highways and you were coming down main thoroughfares, because people were going in and they were buying their food cooked up when they got off work. Because now when you got all the fancy things, you can't be home because you got to work 2 jobs because, you're going to go get some fancy stuff. So when you're coming home, you're going to stop by the grocery store, bring the stuff that's probably already cooked, bring it home. But automobile transportation, mobility, the way folks travel became a little bit different. And so now when you start talking about a grocery store, that store we talked about that was in the Holly Shopping Center, folks moved from going there to Kermaria and Colfax.
That's right. But you know what, brother Jeff? I grew up on 21st and Pontiac. So although I remember the Holly store, that's not where we shopped. I shopped at
Mighty Mart. You went to Mighty Mart.
Well, I certainly went to Mighty Mart for the little things. And those, do you remember those sub sandwiches they used to make in the back?
Yeah.
Oh my God, don't get me started. So, but we shopped at a King Soopers on Montview and like Dayton, right on the outskirts of Aurora. The center is still there. I know there's a men's store there. That's where we did our groceries.
We could go to Frank's Market. They had a whole meat market at Frank's, and they had one over here at Scott's Market. And so, I mean, we've had acts. I mean, I wouldn't say, we might not have had the big thing over there, but I was over on 40th and Colorado Boulevard, and I saw someone coming out of their apartment, and I asked her, I said, where's the grocery store? She said, right down there. You got to go to Quebec. There's the Walmart on Quebec in 40th.
Oh, and that's where she was sending you to go get groceries.
Yeah, 40th and Quebec. And so, but I mean, with all of that being said, when we're starting to talk about the conservation easement, we're not talking about grocery stores right now. Like, no, we're not talking about affordable housing. We're not talking about anything. I want to just know what does a conservation easement, and then what's a permittable amongst use, and then allow folks to have a conversation about what they want and come to some kind of conclusion. But it sounds to me like all of this stuff is being done in Michael Hancock fashion, which is backwards, which is not transparent, which is leaning in the wrong direction. I can't remember any time Mayor Hancock has done anything on behalf of ordinary people. I can't really name it. He might say, well, you know what? I made it to where the kids can go to the recreation center for free. And I'm like, when I grew up, the recreation center was free. Like, isn't that what we pay for? Now all of a sudden that's a special privilege to go to your local recreation center. Isn't that like what our tax dollars is paying for? As a matter of fact, Hancock, isn't your check coming from Brother Jeff? So like, what is Sandy? Help me understand, why there's a visioning process in the midst of a conservation easement when the court has to decide. I imagine all this is going to court.
That's right.
What we can't figure out.
That's right, Brother Jeff. And you're hitting exactly on it. You are right on point. And that was the purpose of our press conference today, because essentially, and for those of you who aren't familiar with what's happened or what happened, and Brother Jeff, if you don't mind, I'm going to do just a little history here.
Please.
So in 2019, it was around June of 2019, all of a sudden this new law passed, and it was a state statute. And the state statute essentially said that parties to an easement cannot get rid of a conservation easement without going to court, without going to state court to prove to us why the conservation easement is no longer possible, or why it is impossible to maintain the very specific word is impossible to maintain this easement. So this state statute went under the water. No one saw this. So luckily, Woody happened to be talking to Woody Garnsey, happened to be talking to an attorney. I think I don't remember what her specialty was, but she found it. She saw this law, and we were like, whoa, wait a minute, what happened? So it was literally like about 15 days after this new statute got passed. West Side Development closed on purchasing this land. They didn't see it either. So luckily for us, this new state statute was enacted before West Side purchased their land, which means now they are subject to this new ruling, and they have got to go before the state court. And so what Woody was trying to explain today, and what our press conference was trying to explain today, is that because of this new state statute and this existence of a conservation easement, the parties to the conservation easement and the parties under these circumstances are West Side Development and the city. Those are the two parties. In order for them to relinquish and end the easement, they have got to go before the state court and prove that the easement is impossible. Well, okay, so for shits and giggles, let's just say that you do have to, this does have to be, I don't believe it, I'm not advocating for it, but let's just say that this does have to be an 18-hole golf course. The city and West Side must go before the state and explain to the state, this can no longer be a golf course. Well, why not? Why can this no longer be a golf course if that's what you're arguing and contending? If this were to come before me and I was the judge, the first thing I would say was, well, obviously this can continue to be a golf course, West Side, because you went and established a company in which you would be a golf course. What do they call those? They established a company under them where they what do they call them? Golf course. There's a specific word, because Arcus was whatever this was, but essentially it says that they can run a golf course. Well, guess what? You must be able to run a golf course because you went and established a company that says you can. So where's the impossibility? So I think what they're doing with this visioning plan, and this is just me, no one has said this. I think with the visioning plan, what they want to do is they want to be able to have in front of them when they go before the Colorado courts and say, you know what, this is what the people want. This is what, we went through this process, we went through this, and we went through that, and this is really what the people want. And I personally think that's why this visioning plan is moving forward, although essentially nothing can happen to this land until that conservation easement is lifted.
But what's happening again, Sandy, and again, whatever happens, I just want transparency. I like everybody on every side, whatever. I like, if you want to, like, if conservation in Colorado in 2020 means another 80-story building with folks stacked on top of each other in the form of concrete, if that's what conservation means in 2021, then conservation yourself on. You know what I mean? I just want to make sure for my $2 million, I have access to whatever that is. Like, I don't want to subsidize another wealthy development group. Like, I don't want to continue to be making a tall, shiny city to where the average person can't participate, but they paid for it.
That's
via tax credits, via special financing, via special access, via buddy phone calls, or perhaps even making deals on a golf course that, the average person can't even golf on. I just want transparency. And so with that being said, I've got to ask this question, because this easement was purchased on behalf of the city. I hold the belief that I'm the city.
I agree.
Now, Hancock obviously holds the belief that he's the city. or the people he represents, like the developers, because I understand when ordinary citizens just want information about, process. They're getting responses like that's client
attorney-client privilege.
Who, aren't I like the client?
Exactly. That's exactly right. Who is your client? Why is the city so diligently working on behalf of West Side, specifically with this particular piece of land? Why, the city, I'm your client.
West
Side is not your client.
But that's what I mean. And
that's right.
I would even say yes. West Side is your client. It's like all I know is I purchased an easement.
That's right.
And so, and I know that West Side purchased some property.
Mm-hmm.
And I know we're
with an easement.
With an easement, which means we're in partnership together. Like it means that we're in a partnership.
That's right.
From what I understand. And so, if the city is not we and it's he, then today in the Free Think Zone, I'm going to have to go ahead and make a pronouncement, and we will no longer call Mayor Hancock Mayor Hancock. That is King Hancock. That is
dictator.
That is King Hancock, because obviously what he sees needs to be done with those he really represents, has nothing to do with me when it comes to finance. The only thing that I have in the game is when folks say, well, y'all both black. I'm like, please stop with okay. So with that being said, there's going to be a visioning process, which in my opinion is just going to be another example of spending Brother Jeff's hard-earned tax dollars during a pandemic.
That's right.
And at the end of the day, it's going to probably have to go to court anyway. And they're going to say, this is what the people said, but we know the city's planning process. I seen their planning process at the East Denver YMCA. I seen that sham planning process. I seen that sham planning process when they dug up them 100-year-old trees in City Park Golf Course. I seen that sham process. I seen that sham process in Elaria, Globeville, and Swansea when they ran that highway down their throat. Under Mayor Hancock's administration, planning process means we already know what we're going to do. We're going to put we're going to put this little dog and pony show in front of you and make you shake your head like you getting something out of the deal. I think we just need to keep figuring out what's going on, and I want to know what this visioning process is really about, and how it relates to a conservation easement.
Well, I personally don't think that they even recognize that. If you go to their website, they kind of mention that there's a conservation easement, and of course they give you the definition that the city and county wants you to believe is, the city attorney's office wants you to believe is the definition of an easement, and it's all subject to interpretation, and it is. However, this visioning process, we will find out tomorrow, Brother Jeff, and as I said, I am on the visioning process, and it talk about lack of transparency. We had to jump through hoops to get on this visioning process, or to become members and to be represented. And we're pissed. We're livid. So the Honorable, who we all love, Candy Silvaca, went to this visioning group and specifically asked, is it possible for us to have a representative on this board? And so I don't know if you guys are familiar. There's a group called the PRAB, and Leslie Taragowski used to be a member of the PRAB. And what the PRAB is the Parks and Recreations Advisory Committee, and it's a group of volunteers who are appointed by each one of.
Uh-oh. What happened?
Can you hear me, Brother Bill?
I can hear you now.
Okay, sorry about that. So the PRAB, is the Parks and Recs Advisory Board, and each district has a representative to this organization. So Candy Silvaca, my understanding is that she asked if her PRAB rep, who is Dr. Lisa Calderon, could be on the steering committee for this visioning process, and they told her no. Dr. Calderon's not on this visioning process, but guess who has guess whose PRAB rep is on this visioning process? Chris Herndon.
Chris Herndon?
Of course.
Well, I mean, whenever you mention Chris Herndon, I know the unholy alliance is about to take place. All you have to do is put Chris Herndon, Michael Hancock, and Albus Brooks together, and I would like them to be a part of planting the trees at the arborarium. That's what, like I would like to see like, if you say, what does Brother Jeff want? I want Hancock, Chris Herndon, and Albus Brooks to plant trees at the arborarium right over there on Colorado Boulevard.
All of the trees.
All of them.
So yeah, this process just started as a scam. I mean, they did everything conceivable. They sent out these letters saying, if you're interested in participating, this is what you need to do. And then, when they started seeing that some of us, I live, according to Google Maps, I live 0.7 miles from the Park Hill Golf Course. 0.7 miles. That was too far. You had to live 0.5 miles to be a part of this visioning process. Well, I guess they must have been called out on that just a little too much, because now they've expanded those who are on the visioning process. So, District 9 only has, which is Candy's district, only has one representative from a coal organization. But she wasn't allowed to appoint her PRAB person, which, and then, so we will find out tomorrow what the visioning process is. We know who the players are. We know that this is going to be, there's going to be one person who will kind of facilitate these different meetings.
It'll be done well. I believe Dr. Nita Mosby Tyler is the facilitator. So I know whatever that process is, it's going to be facilitated. It's going to be done well. But my point is, why put the cart before the horse?
Absolutely.
If there, okay. Here's what I learned from the press conference today, because I asked the question because I started listening, and my initial question was, why don't SOS or others who are concerned move this process to court? Like, go to court, stop the process, because you can have an injunction or whatever. I remember somebody was building a garage up the street from us, and all of a sudden they've got a stop work order put on, like, I don't care how far you are, you're going to stop doing this until we figure out what that is. And so, because we have a King Hancock, that means that you can do whatever you want, and there's no accountability, there's no voice of the people. It's more about, whatever their vision is for their plan or their planning is, it's always on their behalf. But here's what I learned today, Sandy, at the press conference. I said, why not just take it to court? Like, go figure it out now. Guess what the answer is? The folks who can take it to court, according to how the rules are played, have to be the developer.
That's right.
And the city. That's
right. It's the parties to the easement.
Yes.
And under the circumstance, the parties to the easement are the city and West Side Development.
Now, guess what? They're the same people. No wonder it's not going to court. I'm like, see, I have my aha moment. I'm like, oh, the city has to take it to court in conjunction with, like, the parties have to, they have to file and go to court. They're lovers. They're in the bed together. They're mating. Like, they're mating. Like, why would, like, oh no. Like, why would it go to court when the it's like, nah, we're good. They're like, nah, we're good.
Well, and they're going to do everything they can under, not being transparent and under the covers, so you don't see what's actually happening and who they're speaking to behind closed doors, and what kind of negotiating they're actually back there trying to do. They're probably in front of the conservation or the state right now saying, can we just get rid of this? I mean, that's
but the good thing about it, Sandy, the good thing about it is, the good thing about this, and again, however it works out, we just The people just want transparency, King Hancock and others.
That's right.
Like, we're tired of the hookups. We're tired of the access, the pinky swears, the do what I say, but not what I do. We're really over that right now, Mayor Hancock, King Hancock. Like, why don't you just be transparent? We already know what happens when you start sending these planners out to say what y'all want. We already know that the decision has already been made.
That's right.
And I don't know how far you will go to make sure the money keeps getting their bag, cheese, cheddar, scratch, chill. Can you just go that little far for just ordinary people to just say, hold on, I want to make sure the folks that pay my salary, not fill up my political coffers, but the ones that pay my salary, that they have a little voice in this, that they have some access. When they ask a question, the city attorney is actually their attorney, not my personal attorney. Like,
that's right.
I'm so tired of black folks coming to power and then they want to be a king. You know what I mean? They want to talk about Trump, but they do all the stuff that Trump was doing. I'm like, I'm so over it. But with that being said,
I know.
What you have now, as I can understand it, is you've got a public-private partnership, and that public-private partnership is between Westside developers and Mayor Hancock. And that's what you have until further notice. But
that's right.
The good news is, at some point, it's going to get before a judge, and if you get before a judge, and I believe there will be judges that have integrity and honor that are not political appointees or whatever, that can say, here's what a conservation easement is. This might have been written a little murky. This is how we're going to interpret it. This is what Brother Jeff gets for his $2 million. And you just can't take his money when you don't have any money. And then when you get some money, say, well, he has no say in it. Like, does that make sense?
Absolutely, Brother Jeff. I mean, I didn't need to be on this show. You taking care of it. You are saying exactly what needs to be said, Brother Jeff. And Brother Jeff, everything's not lost. So I don't know if you're familiar, and we can continue to talk about this visioning process, but there's some other things that I need to announce before we hang up today and get off the phone. And I'm in no rush, but I'm just saying there's something else that we do need to talk about. That orange is really pretty.
And I'm gonna eat it. I'm gonna eat that orange because in my sea moss. I'm gonna do my sea moss and an orange today and some water.
That's gorgeous fruit. So let's just continue talking about this visioning process. And Brother Jeff, I'm more than happy to come back to you and report to the community at any given time. My understanding is that the community is allowed to listen in on these calls and participate that way. That's my understanding, or maybe that's just my wish. I don't know yet. But I am absolutely more than happy to come back to you after each of these processes and just let you know what has developed and what's taken place. If there are monthly meetings. Another thing that concerns me greatly is who is missing from the table. Certain groups, like there is no one who represents environmental issues, no one who represents public health. There are conservation groups in existence. They're not at the table. We work closely with the group called Keep It Colorado. Where are the Green Latinos? Why weren't they invited to be a part of this visioning process? There are so many people who want to argue, and I know they keep saying, you keep hyping on this, Sandy, you keep bringing this up. I'm going to continue to bring this up. The Park Hill Golf Course borders 80216, which is the Elyria-Swansea zip code. People, understand, 80216 is the most contaminated zip code in the country.
Wow.
And there are so many, and luckily they are represented, but we had to fight to get them their representation on this visioning process. There are people who are on this board, who are part of the steering committee, who have attended neighborhood meetings, who have said that Elyria-Swansea, probably the group that is most affected by the environmental impact and the environmental racism of not keeping this open space. There are people who have said they shouldn't have a word in this. This is Candy's district. That they have no word and they should have no say whatsoever in this process and in this plan. I'm sorry. that I'm not okay with that. You know, let's look at our BIPOC communities and recognize and understand this is going to, I don't have kids. I'm never going to have kids. I'm actually the last person who should be sitting up here advocating for our future, because, my legacy ends with me. But I love my people, and I love my children, and I love my nieces and my nephews, and I understand the importance of having open space and trees and green space and what that does for our health. I also know and recognize how our people, by the BIPOC community, is affected by continued densification and concrete. Let's not ignore this. This is the last piece of open space that we have in this city.
Wow.
Preserve it while we can. When it's gone, it's gone. You can't get it back.
Wow.
So that's the passion that I have for this in particular, and it pisses me off. Why with this visioning process, why would they not have invited someone who can speak eloquently? Because I'm not an SME about environmental health. I know that I have my passion. I know and I understand the impact that this has on our communities, but I'm not the specialist. And Brother Jeff, I'm just going to say that there was a guy who came on one of the GPHC meetings recently when, I think her name is Courtney something. Courtney, what is her name? Courtney, anyway, she's part of the Courtney Livingston. She was making her rounds. She went to us and she went to Northeast Park Hill Coalition and spoke about the visioning process and what they have at this point in time. And when they came and spoke to the Greater Park Hill, there was this doctor who just happened to be on the call, and his name is Dr. Michael Kosnet. And Brother Jeff, if you don't mind, and if I can, I would like to hook up an opportunity for him to come and speak to you.
Okay.
Because he's a medical doctor, but he's also an environmentalist. He has a master's degree in public health. And, he has that SME expertise that I don't have to speak specifically about the environment, the environmental impact of developing this land. But specifically, I know that he can address how this is impacting what few BIPOC people still exist in the neighborhood. And I'm sorry, Black folks, stop ignoring our Latinx brothers and sisters who live on the other side of Colorado Boulevard. This is impacting their health as much as it's impacting ours.
Wow.
Stop ignoring them.
Wow.
Stop pretending like they don't exist. They exist. We exist.
Wow. Sandy Robnett. Anybody would be pleased to have her as a part of their organization, their leadership, or just giving voice in places where you have leadership that came up fighting to get voice, and then when they get in positions of power, they work to make sure they shut voices out. And it's really tragic, but at the end of the day, I appreciate everything in terms of like the visioning process. I think the first question that should be asked, like if I was Dr. Nita Mosby Henry, I always say Henry because I default back to old times. Dr. Nita Mosby Tyler, or any facilitator that comes before the people asking what they would like in terms of their community, in partnership with, say, for example, the city, who doesn't see them as part of the city. They see themselves as the city. My first question would be like, how many of you all trust Mayor Hancock's integrity and transparency to really hold your hopes, aspirations, and vision sacred and find them implemented in said policy on a scale from 1 to 10? How much do you trust Mayor Hancock to be honest in this particular process? And I'll bet you a dime to $1,000 you're gonna get a ton of goose eggs. They're gonna be like, you know what? we're going through the process because we've been kind of trained to like go through processes, but we know at the end of this process, this ain't nothing but another one of them shams and them games that these politicians have learned to run on ordinary people. And so I would ask anyone to ask yourself, do you trust Mayor Hancock with 155 acres of land in partnership with anybody?
But the unfortunate thing is that there are people on the steering committee who will say yes
because they probably stand to benefit.
Absolutely.
I'm just saying, and I don't mind. Like, if you invest $1, you should get $2 if that's how you get down. But when Brother Jeff invests $2 million, when you got your cup hand out talking about I'm having a difficult time. Here's Brother Jeff drops $2 million in. And then when all of a sudden the economy turns and all of a sudden now that $2 million is irrelevant. If you want a return on your investment, why don't you think Brother Jeff wants a return on his investment? And if he purchased the conservation easement, all I want is a conservation easement.
That's right, brother. And Brother Jeff, I'm gonna hopefully ease some of those concerns a little bit for you here in a second. But I just posted in the chat information about those who are on the visioning process, and they give you the demographic breakdown of who it is, who's on it, what's the percentage of African Americans versus whites versus Latinos versus, and it gives you a breakdown. What I find extremely fascinating about this is how many of these people are like, making between over, I think it's over 200,000, is it? There's another, the household income over, is it 16%? Forgive me, I'm trying to see what this says. Over 16% of the people on this visioning process make over $200,000.
Yeah, because this is the Mile High Income City. It is in service to the dollars, the bucket. And so,
that's right.
I want to just say this, everybody. Free thinkers, don't forget to go to brotherjeff.com, make a donation of any amount, and I'll show you this third option, the great Leanne Wheeler's favorite option. That's the Cash App right there. We are powered by the people because I guarantee you, that what we say and what we do and how we speak truth to power and just, we just kind of call it as we see it. And we're not saying that I'm right or anybody's wrong. All we want is a little bit of transparency. Like,
absolutely.
Just whatever it is, let us know whatever it is. And we know what politics has been under this administration and perhaps politics in general. You could get real grimy real fast and forget about the people who put you there. The Park Hill Golf Course is the last open space, and there's not a piece of open space that people don't want to put a piece of concrete on. Like, that's like, can I get a buck? Can I get a buck? What are you going to do when what are you going to do when COVID hits and all of a sudden you can't make no money?
And Brother Jeff, why are we continuously making and putting in concrete? There is this I'm going to say it, bullshit argument that we need to build and build and build because people are coming. Okay, if people are coming, why are there more than 23 available units in downtown? Move people into those units first. Tell them they have to open to go into those spaces first before we continue building every place else. I'll tell you what I think is going to happen to these developments and all these developments around town. And there was an article in the Glendale, I think it's the Glendale Chronicle, that kind of echoed my sentiments on this. I personally think that we're going to have a whole bunch of apartments. And, whether they're good or bad, depending on how you look at it, certainly there are absolute benefits to the project. Why aren't we you're absolutely right, Brother Jeff. We have 23,000 units, available units in downtown Denver. Why are our people unhoused?
Well,
why are we not forcing these developers to house our neighbors, to house our citizens?
Well,
to give our citizens residences so that, people, you have no idea the benefits that come with having an address.
Wow.
If you don't have an address, you can't vote. If you don't have an address, there's no place to send your stimulus check. If you don't have an address, how do you pay your taxes? You can't identify where you live to pay the taxes.
Well, I could tell you, I would just like to thank everyone out there that has a passion for ordinary people, and maybe just individuals that want to see a good steward of your resources, a good steward of your tax dollars, a good steward of someone that will say, you know what, how is this going to benefit the people, as opposed to the few folks that are making more and more money every single day. Again, I want to thank Sandy. We're going to stay on top of this. Right now, I'm just going to go ahead and say, as it relates to this process and most processes, you're being run by King Hancock. It's not a mayor. You're not getting representation as an ordinary citizen. You're getting you got a banker and an investor who just wants to go ahead and make sure those who can make money keep making money. And maybe that's the type of city that everybody wants to have, but I just think that there's enough for everybody to participate in. There's 155 acres in play right here, and I would like to just, whatever your investment is, I'm not against it. I just want to see fairness for a change. Like, what is a conservation easement? What did Brother Jeff pay for at $2 million? What is it worth in 2021? If it's not going to be honored, what's the process to take away that easement? And what does Brother Jeff get in place of his investment? These are just basic questions. And an arborarium will bring a lot of folks to town. Like there are a lot of, I imagine there are a lot of tourists that would just like to come sit under some trees.
Absolutely.
I sat in an arborarium in Philadelphia, in Georgetown, or no, it's Germantown. I saw trees from China. I saw trees from India. I saw trees from Brazil. I like an arborarium. And think about this. City Park is 320 acres. Mm-hmm. And I don't think anybody's upset because City Park is there and they're passing City Park and saying, damn, we need to have a grocery store in City Park. Like, I think people just sometimes want to go and walk in the park and sit down in the grass and breathe fresh air and if you can relate to that in City Park, just imagine how much happier you'd be if you had 155 acres of that.
That's right. So Brother Jeff, before we hang up, and like I said, I'm in no rush, but I have to tell you, just in case you don't know, I will be asking of you if I can come and sit in front of the Brother Jeff Cultural Center. So we are doing a ballot measure. SOS has started a ballot measure. Are you familiar with this?
No, tell me about it.
Okay. So this seems kind of dark. I'm going to hold this up to my face a little bit more like this. Okay, so we have started a ballot measure. We tried to put this on the ballot last year. And essentially, let me read to you specifically what the ballot language says. If I can, I'll see if I can't find it.
And I'm going to eat another one of these mandarin oranges. I'm going to eat some more of this fresh vegetables and fruit that I got over there on Colorado Boulevard.
I'm going to ask if somebody would please. There's Tony put in a link for Save Open Space. Tony, would you mind putting in a link that with the ballot language so that we can read it?
Hey, and Sandy, and while you're working to get that up, the Dean of Black Journalism just made a point. Your colleague at the Greater Park Hill Neighborhood Association, John Bowman, he mentioned the Botanic Gardens. Can you imagine, okay, the Botanic Gardens is beautiful, but you got to pay to get in.
That's right.
Imagine if you had 155 acres of that you could just walk in anytime.
And free. That's right. Absolutely.
And it belonged to you.
That's right. Well, and let me just go back to this visioning process real quick, just while hopefully somebody's putting that information in the link for us. So I'm just going to tell you guys what's on the agenda for tomorrow's meeting at this visioning process. It will go from 5 to 7. From 5 to 5:15, there will be a welcome agenda review and intros. From 5:15 to 6:25, there will be equity dialogue. From 6:25 to 6:35, they will introduce community navigators. From 6:35 to 6:50 will be committee chartering discussions. From 6:50 to 7, there will be follow-ups for the next meeting, and at 7 o'clock, everything will conclude. So that is what's on tomorrow's agenda. So I just wanted to share that with you guys so that you know. I mean, I'm going to be as transparent as I can be. There's no details on what's actually taking place, but I'm letting you know what's on the agenda for tomorrow. So let me see if one of my colleagues, you guys, come on. Oh, wait a minute.
What happens if you guys what if you all build a car that can go 300 miles an hour, but the speed limit's only 25 miles an hour? Like at the end of this, what if you put all of your money into building a car that goes 300 miles an hour, and then you get to court and learn that the speed limit is like 20?
So, and you know, Brother Jeff, you know and forgive me for cussing, but you know, sometimes it just flies out. But the biggest bullshit I've heard so far throughout all of this is when Kenneth Ho gets up there and says, we don't have any plans for this land. You spent $24 million and you don't have a plan on what you intend to do with this land. That's like me saying, I just bought a car, but I don't know what I'm going to do with it.
But I like Kenneth Ho. I like that. I mean, I like Kenneth Ho. But I'm thinking more about process. Like, wouldn't you want to know that you can only drive 20 miles an hour before you go and invest all your money in a 300 mile per hour car? Like, wouldn't you want to, like, wouldn't your process be like, wouldn't you want to know what the conservation easement will allow you to do before you start talking about what you want to have done? Like, exactly. That's what I want to ask. Let me put it succinctly. Wouldn't you want to know what the conservation easement allows legally before you start figuring out all the things you want to do, only to find out you can't do none of that? Well, or maybe you can do it. Maybe you can. Well, wouldn't you want to know?
You know, absolutely. But you know what? I mean, I think you and I both know that obviously something was promised, because, you know, the common person would have said, you know, I'm not sure I really want to buy this because there's some limitations on what I can do. Somebody else was in your ear saying, well, you know what? We're going to get rid of those limitations. Don't worry about that. You and I both know that's what happened, right?
Yeah.
So here is our ballot initiative. And for those of you guys who don't know, we had gone and we tried to get this ballot language on last year's, you know, during the presidential election. And then COVID happened and we freaked out and we were like, oh my God. So we went another route to try to get this ballot initiative through. And thank you, Honorable Candy Sidevaca, again, for all of your hard work. There is a process that can go through City Council, which will allow you to not have to do the petition process, where essentially City Council will put something, a ballot measure on the, you know, your voting tickets, whatever those things are. They'll put them on there, and we wouldn't have to have gone through the petition process. But of course, because it was related to West Side and so on and so forth and development, our initiative was lost, and the City Council, of course, would not pass and allow us to put this measure on the ballot. So we're going at it again. You're going to see people around town. I'm going to put this down. Hopefully, this light is becoming terrible. I'm sorry.
Tony put it up. It says, shall the voters of the city and county of Denver adopt a measure prohibiting following without the approval of voters in a regularly scheduled municipal or special election any commercial or residential development on land designated as a city park and land protected by a city-owned conservation easement, except where consistent with park purposes, conservation easement purposes, or for cultural facilities, and any partial or complete cancellation of a city-owned conservation easement unless for the purposes of creating a new park.
So that's a lot of, you know, legals.
a lot of legal, we have Penn Tate and we have Woody Garnsey, we have Mario Flores, so, legal. But what's really important is without the approval of the voters. So what that is saying is that you can't do crap to city parks or a park that is subject to a conservation easement without the vote of the people. That's what that's saying.
Sounds to me to me it's making a distinction between who the people are and who the city is, because sometimes the city doesn't think that they're the people and they just do whatever they want. And
That's
so
exactly
this is saying take it directly to the people, because the people have been betrayed so many times that we got to get some protections in place and ask the people if the people want to have a voice in what's being done in their name.
That's exactly right. So you're gonna see us out. We ask that you sign our petitions. We have to get, I think, legally like 8,700 votes. Signatures. We are shooting for about 12,000 signatures, just so that we have that cushion. And I will be announcing on Facebook and other places. I'm just going to go and sit in front of my house. And I'm going to tell you, come to my house, and if you're interested in signing this petition, please come and do so. And Brother Jeff, when I come back each month to tell you what's happening with this visioning plan, I promise I'm not going to sit in this sun. I apologize to you guys for this sun situation, but let's enjoy this sun while we have it, right? And so anyway, So this petition will be going out, and we're trying to make life a little bit difficult for both the city and this developer. Not specifically just to them. I mean, this will go for any piece of land, any park land will have to go before the vote of the people. And so we're tired, and that's you're exactly right. We're tired of this city council, this developing loving city council, all but one. Oh, I shouldn't say that, because I don't think what is her name? Amanda
Sawyer or Amanda
Sawyer.
Okay.
I would consider her an ally.
What about Chris Hines? What about Chris Hines?
I personally am not a fan. The way he voted, it seemed to just align himself with developers.
What about Debbie Ortega?
A developer. Everyone other than Candace Ivanka.
What about Cashman? Cashman.
Oh my God. It was funny because when we tried to get our initiative before the ballot on last year's ballot, they all came out and said, well, no, we're not going to allow this, but I still support open space and I don't think this land should be developed. To which my response is bullshit. But yeah, that's my thought on that one. So,
what about Stacey Gilmore?
No, I mean, no. Stacey Gilmore, actually, you know what? I do believe Stacey Gilmore may have voted to put that on the measure. But there are other things that Stacey Gilmore has done where I think she should really recuse herself in certain situations. There are certain things that she should not be allowed. I don't think she should be allowed to vote on. Apparently, there's not an issue with city council. But if she had any integrity, she would recuse herself from those votes, and she would explain why.
Are you saying that's because she's like, I don't know. I don't know. I think that she's got integrity. I don't know. I don't know. I don't. So. But yeah, you know what? I don't know. I just want to know what my $2 million gets. I just want to know what my.
So hopefully, Brother Jeff, if you guys will sign our petition and allow this to get on the ballot, and more importantly, you vote to say that shall the voters. I'm not sure if it's how the yes or the no is going to look at this point in time, but if you vote favorably for this particular initiative, then guess what? They can't do crap. It's got to come to you first.
Yeah.
So there's your $2 million, Brother Jeff.
Well, I appreciate you. It's great hanging out and talking with you, and I just love your passion and your
I
willing.
was so nervous about coming on the show. I thought, oh my God, I can't do this. But like I said, I am more than happy to come here monthly and give you an update.
I need updates.
And you know, Shanta too is on this visioning committee.
I like
and
Shanta. She's going to be on it. Y'all are going to.
Isn't she wonderful?
I like the fact that Dr. Nita is facilitating. I like the fact that I know that y'all will make it happen. Just go in there and ask them what my money, run me my money.
Specifically, Brother Jeff's $2 million.
I just want to know.
You know, and absolutely, and I think, you know, I really, really do want to believe deep down in my heart, Brother Jeff, that the players who are saying that they are truly interested in the voice of the community that oppose me. I mean, you know, I'm not aligned with what you're thinking, but you know, I really, really hope deep down in my heart that's true. That really is what you're aiming for and what you intend to do.
But isn't this about, like, yeah, I talk about King Hancock, but that city council also has its hand in, like, why do they support that urban camping ban? Like, why they could end that tomorrow if they, like, if it was against their values, and if they were like I'm pretty sure they've got questions about the easement as well. I'm like, they could probably handle this like right now. They could be like, "What's up?" They could have handled it,
but you know, they're all listening to that attorney-client privileged city council or city attorney's office, whose attorney-client privilege don't apply to the citizens. You know, I guess that attorney-client privilege only applies to city council and Michael Hancock or King Hancock, as we're saying. But
okay,
yeah,
Sandy.
So
until the next time.
Absolutely.
But let me,
Jeff, again, thank you.
Before you go, let me give you your final words. Again,
okay.
We are with you know, Sandy Robnett. I'm talking about native to the bone. Like, this is it. And so, would you go ahead, give us your final remark, your final thoughts?
So, you know, as I said, I'm going to come back and report to you guys about this visioning process. You know, I represent SOS, and I do represent SOS in this process and stuff. And so my vision is very specific to the environment and maintaining open space. And it is, plain and simple. If you have questions, come to us. You know, your questions may not necessarily be aligned with what we're proposing, but, you know, nevertheless, I personally don't have any problems asking questions. I mean, I'm the first one who will put in the disclaimer and say, look, you know, this isn't how I feel. This isn't my interest. But somebody has this question, and I'm going to ask this question. And I'm going to get that question back to you. And I make that promise. Absolutely. And again, I would just ask, if you are approached, please keep an eye out. Go to our website. Yes, for parks and open space. Tony has pasted it in the thread. Thank you, Tony, for doing that for us. And you know, look at the ballot language. We will be posting on our website and in our Facebook page, where you will be able to find us to sign those petitions. We need 12,000 signatures. Brother Jeff, I know you reach far greater than just Park Hill. If you are interested in carrying a petition for us, we absolutely would love if you did that. We are specifically looking for people who are not in this area. This is a ballot initiative that applies to all of the city, not just this particular area. This applies to all parks. So we need to get this message out to other people who aren't interested in Park Hill. And so if you're watching this and you live in Rhino or wherever else, yeah, who cares where it is, you know, Loretto Heights, I don't care. And if you are interested and passionate about open space, send us a message. Come and pick up a petition. You know, get 25, 50, 100 people to sign your petition and bring it back to us. Also, at this point in time, we will be putting up, and I don't know if if Tony can quickly put up a link to our campaign where we're asking for donations. You know, we are fighting against some big players. We're fighting against somebody who's got a random $24 million to go buy a golf course. So this is going to be a big fight. It's going to be expensive. We understand that. And so if you would like to make a donation, whether it's $1, $2, $3, you know, $500, please do so. We need we need your finances. We need your money to be able to accomplish this. We are tired of this city being run and the developers just running rampant and being represented by the city of Denver. And so we're asking that you would please, you know, make a contribution to our efforts, just so that we can fight a big guy for once. So, Brother Jeff, thank you. Thank you again. Thank you for everything that you do for our community. You know, and is Chef Chop there tonight?
We'll be here. He'll be Thursday and Friday, but we'll always have
Thursday
something for you.
All right.
All right.
I look forward to it. And I'm so happy that Randall's is opened again. Woohoo!
There it is. All right,
There
you
it
all.
is.
There's Sandy Robnett. Wasn't that like powerful? Like, wasn't that was powerful? I just have questions. The great Leanne Wheeler, I got questions. Or as they say down south, questions. Shout out to Randall's. It used to be Randall's at Marion's, Randall's at Pierre's. Now it's Randall's at Randall's. Randall's has his own spot right over there on York. I want to give everybody the actual address and phone number. If you can hold on for a second, I want everybody to go over to Randall's. Used to be Randall's at Pierre's, Randallborn, and I'd like for you to go by 3349 York Street and order some food, maybe have an adult beverage. The number 720-400-7648. Randall's. He's back open. It's powerful. And don't forget about Chubby Curls, educating the natural community one scalp at a time. You've got those little skinny curls, make them chubby. And now I've got a new place where I'm picking up my vegetables. It's right there on 48th and Colorado Boulevard. It's a Mexican. It's a Mexican fruit and vegetable grocer with spirits, etc., and great vegetables. And guess what? When I went in, they were super friendly. It's called Law something. Law, I don't remember how I say it, but I'll get my Espanol up. But I'm a big fan of this fruit and vegetable place over there on 48th and Colorado Boulevard, this store. And it's Mexican owned. Like, I'm talking about they're doing it. And they're friendly. And I wonder if people overlook them because if you're like a Mexican store, you're not really a store. Like, no, maybe they say that there's not a grocery store because it's a Mexican-owned store. It's the best store I've been in. I love that store. 48th, and I'm going to tell you the name. It's La something. La in Espanol means the. So it's La, and then begins with a T. And it says in the big sign, fruits and vegetables. So that being said, you fine thinkers out there, I'm not on any side of this issue. I'm not. I just want transparency. I want to just know why, when it comes to little people, things get so murky and wonky that we don't know what is anymore. Like, all of a sudden, with all of the real estate that has been purchased, all of the development that has come up, all of the dollars that have been spent, now we don't know what a conservation easement is. Like, don't know. It gets real confusing. Then when you just go to try and get some answers, there's, from what I understand, client attorney privilege. And if it's the city attorney, I thought that I'm the city. But since I'm not the city, we have a king, and his name is Hancock, and all those folks work for the king because obviously the people don't have representation when it comes to the bag, the cheese, the cheddar, the scratch, the skrill. So I have $2 million in play, $2 million, and that was invested a long time ago. So I imagine it's worth more than that now. You know, I don't do interest, but I do know that there's a value that's taken place with those particular dollars. And for folks who are saying that this is a Park Hill thing, if you're listening, you should say, well, then you should just let them Park Hill folks put that $2 million together. Like, since now all of a sudden it's just a Park Hill thing, why don't you let them Park Hillians put that $2 million up, and then it'll be a Park Hill thing. If you're in the Mile High Income City and you pay taxes, then you have a say in this. So for right now, my vision, like, it could change. You got to have a starting point. My vision for my $2 million is as such. I would like an arborarium. I would like a botanic garden. And I'd like an expanded city park. And I'd like anybody who wants to have access to it to go ahead and walk in there or bike in there or whatever. So until further notice, if you ask me, all Brother Jeff wants is an arborarium, because the trees give oxygen. No, the trees give out, I don't know, carbon monoxide. Is that what we give out? And then we take in oxygen. It's a relationship with the trees. And I want the groundbreaking to be Hancock, Albus Brooks, and Chris Herndon, not with them hard hats and them shovels where they about to bust up and pour some concrete. Just give them a pack of seeds and let them, like, give them all a pack of seeds and let them just like drop seeds, like do that. And hey, maybe a garden. Like, okay, so if we need fruits and vegetables, I imagine we got 155 acres. We could damn near have a farm. Like, you could have a farm if you want. Oren says a city park up the street from a city park. Yeah, we got a loft next to a loft next to a loft. Like, okay, Oren, I'm just visioning, like, before we get to court. Like, isn't this what we're doing? I'm just visioning. I'm not saying that this is what we're going to get, but since everybody's into this thing called visioning, maybe I could just vision for a minute. Like maybe I could just vision for a minute, because at the end of the day, I told you, if you're building a car that can go 300 miles an hour and then the courts tell you you're in a 10 mile an hour zone, all that you put into building that 300 mile an hour, car, and then the court says, nah, it's like, sometimes you might want to just say, let's take it to court. But now we figured out that the people who could take it to court have to be the principals in the battle, and those two people are in bed together. And so now you got a public-private partnership, and neither one of them is going to go to court. So y'all just vision on. But I bet you that's not no concrete's going to get poured, because that conservation easement will be addressed at some point. So go ahead and spend some more Brother Jeff's dollars. Vision on. And my vision is an arborarium, an expanded botanical garden, and a big old farm, like a big old farm or something. And just to address Oren, who has a very good point that says a city park up the street from a city park, though, come down Welton Street and I want you to visit this concrete canyon. The Lydian, the Phyllis Wheatley, the this, the that, concrete. You can't see the mountains. That's why I got a house in Telluride, because you're not building a house no more than two stories high, because we're going to see them mountains. Here, higher. You want to build mountains. So if we can have another development, go down Broadway, go up Fairfax, go down Downing. If we can have a building and a building and a building and a building, then we should have a park and a park and a park and a park. Because at some point, all them folks are going to want to come out that concrete and go and walk in the park. I don't know. I'm just visioning. I want Kenneth Ho to get his investment. I want my friend Wayne Vaden to get his investment, and Ty Hubbard to get his investment, and Norman Hare. Everybody around. I want you all to benefit from your investment. I would never stop that. And I have a $2 million investment in it right now. So I want Tony, let's everybody, let's vision. Like that, we could do that for free. A youth-run farmers market adjacent to an urban farm. I like that. That would be cool. An arborarium, a youth-run farmers market adjacent to an urban market. And see, the way you're going to stop the developers' money is this: they can't build nothing anymore taller than 2 stories. And so, if it's taller than 2 stories, maybe we should say they can't use concrete. So they're gonna have to make it out of like a hut. Like it's got to be biodegradable. It's like I don't know. We're just visioning. I have my sea moss. I have my oranges. I got my water, my agua. A permanent home for the Black Arts Festival. That would be great. And Juneteenth. We could put the Jazz Festival in there. Melanie, I live in Telluride. I promise you. And them prices is higher than giraffe genitals. There's my man Norman Harris. Norman, we're just visioning and talking. It's not like we just visioning and talking. Hey Norm, I got a question for you. I want to answer an amphitheater. See, we're doing a Free Think Zone visioning party. That's what this is right now, Norm. It's just like we're just visioning. 2 hours talking about the voice of Northeast Park Hill. I'm not talking about the voice of Northeast Park Hill. No, I'm not. I'm talking about the Mile High Income City. Because if Northeast Park Hill paid for that conservation easement, then it's a Northeast Park Hill conversation. If I go to any place in this city, if my tax dollars are attached to it, I should have a voice. I think, is that fair? But I don't know. Is this just a Northeast Park Hill conversation? Like, is this like a Northeast Park Hill conversation only? It could be. I don't know. Norm, I just went to 38th in York. 48th in York, and I got me some cucumbers. I got me some all this fruit I'm eating today is from Colorado Boulevard. From my Mexican. I got all of this from my Mexican market right there on 48th and Colorado Boulevard. My Mexican market. And it says fruits and vegetables right up on the big sign. Like, that's my new place. I'm buying all my fruits and vegetables from the Mexican market. That's where I'm getting mine. Because they were so friendly. I just walked in. They were like, hi. I was like, wow, this feels welcoming. How are you? Que pasa? Urban farm, arborarium. Yep. Open land. Yep. The vote is, something for the seniors. Wow, this is going to be great. 40th and Jackson, there's the Park Hill Supermarket. Huh. I don't know. I know one thing, Norman Harris is going to have something to do with it, so it's going to be good. Whatever. It's going to be good. Ty and Norman and Jason and Wayne, and it's going to be good, whatever it is. And it's going to be in conjunction, with whatever. It's going to happen. Hammocks. But the hammocks have to be made out of hemp. They got to be made out of hemp. Maybe there could be a city park that doesn't have all that grass. Like, is there a new future for like parks that are zero-scape, that don't take all the water? I don't know. We're just visioning, and I'm going to vision for 2 more minutes, and then I'm out of here. I like this amphitheater idea. I like that amphitheater. Wow. Yep. Let me see what else. Well, that being said, there's a visioning process that's going to begin tomorrow. We'll keep our eye on it. And the reason we're talking about this today is because there was a big press conference today from the Save Our Open Space, SOS Denver. Their grassroots community organization, according to their press release, has been working for over 4 years on issues related to the future of the Park Hill Golf Course land. They have a good question, and I've had that same question. A youth sports complex, Rodney Bates. Woo. Can you imagine? I bet you a lot of this stuff are things that Norman has already figured out. A lot of them have already figured out. But the thing that folks haven't figured out is what can be done. I know that we're talking about conservation easement, and some folks might be getting that mixed up with use agreements, and all of that stuff's going to be untangled in a court of law. And so my main question is, why not go to court first and then see what it is that's, legal and lawful to do with said space, and then whatever the court says, since we can't figure it out, then you just go that direction. I'm not opposed to any of that. Yep. Norm, I'm gonna have Norm come back later. I've been talking with Norm and Ty, and I watch all the stuff that they've been up to. And by the way, the Park Hill Golf Course right now is being used by young folks. There's stuff Jason McBride is doing in there right now, and lots of food coming out of there. And that's just one of the buildings. That's kind of the facility. So it is being used, and it's being used in a very community-friendly way. But hold on, Rodney. Rodney. You and Norman don't go back and forth right now based on what can happen on that space, like if it can be a youth place for young people or just a golf course. All of that stuff is going to be handled in court. So there's no you can't or you can right now, because there's this whole argument about what can and can't be done, and the only entity that can work that stuff out, Rodney Bates, is the court, as I understand. But Rodney, if it's just a golf course, youth can learn how to golf too. It could be a youth golf facility. As a matter of fact, I saw Tiger Woods at the Park Hill Golf Course. Now, that goes beyond some of your all's time, but I saw Earl Woods, Tiger Woods' dad, along with Tiger Woods, do a exhibition for young people in the community where at the Park Hill Golf Course. That's where I saw Tiger Woods. All right. Well, it's been a great conversation. I'm hoping it was balanced. And if not, anybody, I take all takers. Exactly. Penfield, you were there. I saw you there, and I remember your daughter being there also. We saw Tiger Woods at the Park Hill Golf Course. What? No, I don't know if the 100-year-old trees were cut down in City Park, not the I don't think they haven't cut down trees in Park Hill Golf Course. That's not their thing. That's not their thing. Yep. You know, I actually had a conversation with Earl Woods. He was fascinating. Earl Woods. I don't know if I would like. I don't know. I'm not a golfer though, so I don't know if I would like. I wouldn't stop anybody from being golfing or any of that. Tony says they haven't started destroying mature trees. Tony got a feeling that they will. I don't think so. Norman wouldn't let them cut down an old tree. Nah. Wow. Okay, it's a big conversation. We'll keep on top of it. Again, the visioning process starts tomorrow. My only question is, you see how we're wrangling back and forth even in this thread because there's confusion? Take it to court. Let the court say what it is. Let them interpret the document. And then everybody go forth and do whatever it is when you go forth. Like, go to court, interpret documents, court says, and then go forth. Go forth. And yeah. Oh, wow. Harry says that they have pictures of them destroying dozens of trees right in front of them. Huh? But then again, like if you purchase property and you don't want the trees, it's your property, you get to cut them down. Because the property changes hands. So I imagine there's been a lot of nature that has been cut down in our community in the name of development. Like when I grew up, we never purchased fruit. When I grew up in the summer, we never purchased fruit. We were always in somebody's cherry tree, apple tree, peach tree. We didn't have orange trees, but we did have apple trees. There was cucumbers. There were gardens. There was this stuff called rhubarb, all of that stuff. I haven't seen any fruit trees in the hood. Like, I don't even know if they still have fruit trees in the hood. I don't even know. All right. Norm, you got to come in and we got to hang out. Because Norma, like, if we missed anything, if any things are not balanced, Norma straighten that stuff out. Relocating them can be an option, but that's not going to be cheap. Nah, it's not going to be cheap. Arborarium. I want you all, if you don't know what see? Doc Ross. Doc Ross. He asked the question, is the visioning process real? Heard there was already a plan ready to go. Haven't been fully on the loop, but it's interesting. Doc Ross, we've seen these processes at the East Denver YMCA. We've seen these processes at the City Park Golf Course. We've seen these processes all over the city. As far as back as I've gone, we've seen these city processes with DPS when they talked about what you want for your schools. Like, do you want your schools shut down in your neighborhood? No. Well, guess what happens? They're shut down. So our community is we're very aware of visioning processes. And so when you see a process in front of a court order, it just reeks of something is going down that is a little bit interesting. And Doc Ross, this could go to court, but it has to be filed by the principals, and the principals are the city and the developer. So they're not taking it to court because they're the same people right now. It's a public-private partnership, quasi, and it's going to come all the way down to all this money being spent, and then this easement is still in place. It's not going away. And at some point, that easement is going to have to be addressed. So why not address it up front than in the back? Like, why not just address the easement up front as opposed to saying, here's what the community said they want, and now we want to do it, and we got to go to court and ask permission if it can be done. What's the narrative, Jeff? I don't know. I think the legal issue, yeah. No. Norm, here's the narrative. In a nation called a democracy, rooted in law, then the people have representation, but they also have legal rights. And so West Side developers have a legal right to the property that they purchased, and the people have a legal right to the conservation easement that they purchased. And so now you have two entities that have legal rights. And because there seems to be a disagreement around what a conservation easement is and what can and cannot happen in said place, based on the fact that the city purchased an easement to maintain open space, then it's a legal issue, not a people problem right now. It's a legal process that will allow people to have access to their legal rights, I think. But the more it gets confusing, the more you figure out something is at play, and usually that's called politics. The politics are at play. The people of Northeast Park Hill, right? Not the whole city of Denver. Honestly, would we see this issue happening anywhere else but in Park Hill? Yes. The people of the city and county of Denver purchased an easement. So it's a city and county of Denver process, I believe. The people of the city and county of Denver have a right to go to City Park, whether they live across the street or across the town or across the country. I think, like, yes, Landry says something's wonky. You know, when it gets real wonky, it gets real political. Jeff, do you believe that James Chapman should have access to a grocery store? Yes. I believe everyone should have access to a grocery store. And then the question becomes, does he have access now, and where can that access take place? Are we saying that the only place that a grocery store can be had is in 155 acres, formerly known as the Park Hill Golf Course, or can a grocery store be west of there? Where does James Chapman go get his groceries at right now? I mean, maybe my question is, does James Chapman not have access to a grocery store? And I would say, does Montbello have access to a grocery store? Like, the Montbello, they've been fighting for a grocery store for I don't know how long. Like, that's a part of the free market. Like, if someone wants to invest in a grocery store to be anywhere, if they purchase the land and they want to have a grocery store, then they would have the rights to put up a grocery store if, in fact, the zoning allowed for that. But we can't, wish and hope and bring a grocery store if someone doesn't want to put one there. Like, I don't know if a grocery store is a right. A grocery store is a business, And whoever has a business model in a particular area, if they want to put a grocery store there, I think they would do it like any other store. I'm just thinking out loud. James Chapman has access to a Walmart, but not a blessed community store like a small strip mall with a bookstore, an ice cream parlor, a mall, a Paul's Little store. That would be a blessing for the entire Park Hill community. James Chapman, you have that right now. It's on Fairfax Street. And you got a park. I don't know. Yep. There's 2 grocery stores off Chambers. But what if you live up there by Peoria? Like, what if you live on, like, okay, if there's a grocery store on Chambers, remember that little store everybody used to go to over there when we would go to Montbello? There was a little white store right there off of Chambers. Like, when you bend that corner, you got that little store. I don't remember what it was called, but we'd all bend that corner, be that little store. It was white. That's a little distance from Chambers, and I was just over there on Colorado Boulevard and 40th, and right there was a Popeye's chicken. I don't know. I know it was a Kudova's. I think it was a Popeye's chicken over there. There was some housing right behind it. Like, there was a big housing development right there. Then there was some chicken, and then there was a Cadova's, and then I think there was like one of them little hamburger joints. So do you think the people over there, like 8 blocks down, should have access to Popeye's chicken if this one is 8 blocks away from them? Like, should they say, I have a right to a Popeye's chicken? Crown Market. See, Crown Market. Oh, man. I could tell you one thing. If RTD has anything to do with it, if there's a park and ride station over there in that area is about to be developed. Grocery store coming. Follow the transportation. Where you see transportation being built and there's a transportation line, development will be there, and all the stuff we arguing about is already probably in the works. Used to be a Safeway on Peoria in Albrook, but that was many moons ago. Okay. Jeff, how much longer do you all want to hang out with this? For a few more minutes? Because I'll take all these questions. From my friend Norman, Jeff, do you acknowledge that the city attorney has already stated that the easement protects a golf course? Okay. Let me ask, okay. Let me take a swing at that one. Jeff, do you acknowledge that the city attorney has already stated that the easement protects a golf course? All right. Here's how I understand the legal system. 2 sides hire an attorney, and each attorney tells their client what they want to hear, or maybe in some cases what they don't want to hear. And they will go and defend what they want to have in a court of law. And so it really doesn't matter what an attorney says. It's going to imagine what that judge decides. Like, it's called adjudication. It's like what that, like, if the city, I saw this city attorney say that Michael Marshall wasn't murdered in the city jail. I saw the city attorney say that Marvin Booker wasn't murdered in the city jail. I saw the city attorney say that Jessica Hernandez, I seen the city attorney say a whole bunch of things that cost said taxpayers millions of dollars in court fees, costs, and punitive damages and filings. So, yeah, the city attorney could say a lot of things, but they ain't got a good record of holding up everything in court. We'll see what that city attorney has to say to that judge. We'll see what the city attorney says to the judge. City attorney. The city attorney works for Mayor Hancock, not the people of Denver. All right, let me unlock this door. I got to get going. It's great talking with everybody. If you all want to talk, I'll come back and we'll. But let's weigh in on this for a second. Let's weigh in on this for a second. And while we do that, let me open up this door. Let me show you all this. I'll be right back in 2 seconds. If y'all hold on, I'll address that question for Norm because he's got some more questions. So I'll go back and make sure we get them answered. Don't go anywhere. Don't go anywhere, Norm. I got some. I'll get at that. All right, Norm. All right. Okay, if you all are still watching this, you are really interested in this particular subject. You're really interested in this particular subject. Okay. The question is, do you acknowledge that the city attorney has already stated that the easement protects a golf course? Yes or no? Because that is what has happened. I don't know what the city attorney's point is. I don't know what the city attorney, the city attorney is only an attorney on behalf of the city. Like, say, for example, somebody had a different point of view, then the city attorney is not the deciding factor. The city attorney has to make that case and that point in a court of law. So the bigger question, Norman, would probably be, shouldn't a judge decide exactly what the merits of both arguments may be? Like, isn't that, Norman, isn't it the judge's job and duty to decide when there's a disagreement between two or more parties? So, like, if the city attorney said one thing, that's not, it is when we have a king, but in a democracy, that I don't think that's how that works. James Chapman, why don't we put a putt-putt golf course in put a putt-putt. Putt-putt golf course. The small area plan doesn't even take Northeast Park Hill into consideration. It only includes the Park Hill golf course land and not the surrounding neighborhoods. Whoa. That came up in the press conference today. This is a big topic, and I can tell you guys it's going on, and so we'll just let it go on. Yes, why does the plan only address the golf course and, like, say, for example, all of the things like the grocery store and all of the stuff that folks are proposing, why wouldn't that include folks in the surrounding area? Like, why did it get reeled down to just the Park Hill golf course? I don't know. The issue is that SOS is being misleading. Whoa, this is what I wanted. Now, this is getting good. This is getting good. The issue is that SOS is being misleading. They want the community to believe that they are protecting a park. Shifting this conservation is not ethical at all, but expected. Oh, it's not conservation. Shifting this conversation is not ethical at all, but expected. Huh. Wow. I think this is coming down to multiple sides having different points of view, and then I'm just saying, why shouldn't that go into a court of law? Hey, Justice, I got a question for you. Justice is a young man. He's a young man, and so Justice, there's two parties. They're having a disagreement. They have a disagreement, and they probably have valid points on both sides. So they both hire attorneys, right? Just because they hire an attorney doesn't mean one side is right or the other, right? They have to do what?
They have to deliberate. There has to be a judge
There has to be a what? A judge. Oh, see, he could figure it out in like boom, boom. Boom. Did you go to law? Did you go to law school? Are you somebody important or something? You an attorney or something? you say I didn't pass the bar, but I know a little bit that you won't be illegally searching my.
Actually, that's most court cases. It's just civil disputes.
Yeah, it's like two sides have a side, and the judge decides, not the attorney. Because if I was the attorney, I'd decide in my favor all the time. So the question isn't about what this attorney or that attorney says. Why don't you, it's going to court, and the judge will decide. And so do you think the judge should decide before you spend zillions of dollars planning and building and speculating, or do you want to know before what you could do before you build, plan, and speculate? Wouldn't you want to do that first? I'd want to know first. See? Maybe yeah. Like, Justice says he doesn't want to waste a lot of money. A lot of money will go to waste if you go into a lot of things without understanding what you can do legally, without a judge deciding what those disputes might be. With that said, maybe I just need to stop right there because that makes sense, but it might not be sense. But I just think you should go to court, get a judge, see what you could do, and all these great ideas will come to fruition. All right, you all, don't forget, if you go down swinging, just might score a knockout. Good people on all sides, and I appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you for your support. Thanks for all you do. And if you go down swinging, you just might score a knockout. Rumble, young man, woman, and community. Rumble.